Well, joining me now in studio live, we have Julie Murray and her brother, Curtis Murray. Names you may think you know because they are the siblings of Maura Murray, the young woman from Hanson who disappeared back in February of 2004. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Great to be here.
Absolutely. And I know that she is someone whose memory is still burned strong for many local people here in the South Shore. You know, kids that grew up with her, people that knew her in high school, people that heard of her story. So we want to remind people who she is, a little bit about the background, and what happened that night. We're talking 22 years ago, February 9th, 2004. Julie, tell our listeners what happened that night.
We don't know for sure what happened. What we do know is that my little sister Maura was 21 years old. She was a nursing student at the University of Massachusetts. One cold February Monday night, she got in her beat-up 1996 Saturn sedan and headed north and told no one what her plan was, where she was going. And then about 7:30 p.m. in a small town called Woodsville, New Hampshire, a neighbor heard a loud thud outside her window on a sharp corner. She saw the dark Saturn in the eastbound lane facing the wrong direction. She called 911, and then her neighbor, a bus driver, approached the scene. He spoke to the driver, that we have to assume was my sister Maura, and asked her if she needed help. She declined and said she had already called AAA. The bus driver knew that could not be true because there's no signal even today in that area. He went back and placed the second 911 call, and 3 minutes later, when police arrived, Maura was nowhere to be found, and we've never heard from her again.
Just as if she just vanished from the face of the earth.
Right.
What was the next thing that happened? Did they call your family right away? Did your family go up there? Curtis, what happened next?
It took a couple days for our family to be contacted. We finally get the call that she was found and her car was up in New Hampshire, and then it was kind of like a rush effort to get up there.
And I know that your father has been relentless since the get-go about going up there, about talking to law enforcement, about searching. Was there ever any sightings of her? Did anybody else say anything? They saw her get picked up in another car. They saw her hitchhiking. They saw her walk into the woods. Were there any sightings like that?
It's an interesting question because there were many eyes on. There was 2 neighbors that saw the vehicle, and then there was a third neighbor who had a line of sight, but none of them saw her walk away. None of them saw her get into another vehicle. She just disappeared.
Do you remember what the last time there was any kind of contact with the family? Like, had she emailed you or called you several days before? Do you remember the last time you spoke with her?
The last time I spoke with her was the Saturday before she disappeared. She was out car shopping with my dad, and we were talking smack, as South Shore girls do. And she did call my dad the night before she vanished on Sunday night, and that was the last time he spoke to her. She made some contacts through email with her boyfriend at the time, the day she disappeared, but that's it.
That was the end of it. Now, I know over the years when we've spoken with you and your family, it seemed very much at the beginning that law enforcement involvement seemed to be scattered, and it seemed like communication was not the greatest, whether with the family, with the media. Everything seemed very vague. I mean, granted, it's a small town. A lot of, very few people on the force, etc. Has that gotten better or worse over the years, the communication with your family?
I would say it's gotten better, particularly recently. We've had regular meetings with some officials up in New Hampshire. It's gotten up to quarterly, but it took some effort on our part to establish that.
Do you think that was because you have been involved with having standouts with other families who also have unsolved crimes or events in their families, and they felt that they were getting ignored too, or were not communicated with enough? Do you think that had anything to do with it?
Well, my family founded the Coalition of Families of the Missing and Murdered in New Hampshire for that very reason. We knew that we weren't the only ones, and we knew that we would be stronger together. So 3 other families joined forces. We attend each other's vigils and events, and we created this coalition, and now we have many families in the same position. And that media pressure is helping. It's creating more dialogue with the officials, both the Attorney General's office and the state police and the cold case unit. And we just can't be ignored when you have hundreds of families clamoring for the same thing. And listen, we're not asking for details of the investigation. We're just asking for accountability, better communication, transparency. That's all we're asking for. And I think that's the bare minimum.
Have you had, I know that they've said that they've received lots of tips. Of course, they're always very vague about that. Have any of the tips been of any help at all, Curtis?
We haven't had much in the way of credible tips. It's kind of like a chain. Sometimes we get tips, we pass them on to law enforcement, but we haven't had anything credible yet.
This year, how are you going to mark her disappearance, the 22nd year? What will you do?
We're going to do the same thing we've done every single year for the past 22 years, and that is hold a vigil to honor Maura at the site up in Woodsville, New Hampshire. We encourage folks that are supporting our quest to find answers to light a candle at 7:30 p.m. on Monday, February 9th, just to show their support, and we call it lighting up the sky for Maura, and we just want to reach other people that may know something, even if it's something small or they perceive as insignificant. It could break the case open.
Absolutely, and we've seen that with many other cases here in the South Shore that we've covered over the years. Do either one of you have any strong feelings about what you think may have happened to her? Do you have any feeling about it? Have you dreamt about it? Do you have a feeling? Does she speak to you? I don't know how else to put that. Sometimes by forces that you're not even aware of, you might think, I think she's here, I think she's there, I think this happened. Do you have any strong feeling about that?
Me personally, I think Maura got in the wrong car with the wrong person. She's likely gone at this point. It's just there's such a small amount of evidence, there's no way to prove it. But in my heart, I believe Maura's gone. It was most likely some sort of foul play.
Do you think it was someone passing through there? Do you think it might have been someone right there in the same town who saw an opportunity?
It has to be something like that because it was such a short amount of time, such a small window for it to happen.
Just a few minutes from what you were telling me. Julie, do you have the same feeling as your brother Curtis?
100% agree with Curtis, and my dad feels the same way. We believe that because there have been no credible sightings in 22 years, nothing has ever been found, no belongings, no cell phone activity, no credit card activity, and there were no footprints in the snow. And most people think, well, she just walked into the woods. Well, if she did, there'd be footprints because there was 2 feet of snow. So based on that, we believe that she was most likely met with foul play. And of course, that's the worst possible outcome for my family, but here we are 22 years later, we have to deal with reality.
Did they ever do any searches with dogs up there? I'm not talking, because I know there was a search later on in one of the houses, but I mean at the site, like within a day or two, tracking dogs. Did that happen, and did they scent on anything?
Yeah, there was a site. It wasn't immediately, but there was a dog that tracked a scent for a short distance down the road, about 100 feet or so, and then it lost the scent. But it's been speculated that there was a little bit too much time that had gone by to have that be effective. Yeah,
and maybe 100 feet, maybe that's another car stopping. Not that I have no idea, but it's just got to be so frustrating. Now, I know over the years there have been lots of people interested in this, a lot of amateur sleuth, a lot of online chatter, but your family has established your own official website for up-to-date and accurate information. How can people find out more about Maura Murray?
They can go to the website. It's www.mauramurraymissing.org, and I update it regularly. I put all the current news, official statements, anything related to Maura. That's the best source. And
if people think, well, I think I have something that might be interesting or helpful for them, and but maybe I'm hesitant. And should they call you? Should they call police? What should they do?
We implore people that think they know something, even if it's small, to call the cold case unit. and that number is listed on the website. If they feel threatened and don't want to talk directly to a state police officer, they could send an email into my family, contact me. I'm all over social media, and we'll get it to the right officials to track that down.
If you could speak with her today and tell her something that you would want her to know, what would you tell her, Curtis?
For me, I'd tell her thank you, because a lot of the lessons and a lot of the things she taught me turned me into the man I am today. I owe her a lot for that.
Julie, what would you tell Maura?
Simple message, I love you, and my life hasn't been the same.
I don't think the pain from something like this, not knowing what happened to a loved one, I don't know how that can ever be resolved, and I really do hope there is some resolution with this. You know, she was, like we said, she's a local girl from Hanson. She knew a lot of people. She had a lot of friends who think of her, and he said, just keep that thought alive. Light a candle for her. One more time and place with your event and your website.
At 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday, February 9th, we encourage the public to light a candle in Maura's honor. If there are local folks that want to join us up in Woodsville, New Hampshire, that event starts at 5:30 p.m. on Monday. Our family website is www.mauramurraymissing.org.
That's terrific. And again, speaking here with Julie and Curtis Murray, remembering their sister Maura, hopefully you'll be able to find a resolution, and we are going to put this interview up online. We appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome.